So for this video project, I wanted to talk about probably the most unhinged idea actually carried out by humans, and definitely the most unhinged scientific experiment ever conducted during the space exploration era. It all started when Operation Dominic was announced by Kennedy shortly after the Soviet Union withdrew from nuclear weapon treaties and restarted researching new nuclear technologies. The goals of this operation were to test new weapon designs, including different models of devices, some of them thermonuclear, to study the effect of nuclear explosion in specific environments like underwater or with the swordfish test, to experiment with various delivery methods via planes, rockets, torpedoes, and with or without parachutes, and unofficially but barely disguised, to show the Soviet Union who was the toughest. Out of the 36 tests done, 5 stood out because of where they will take place, so they were given their own sub-operation, Operation Fishbowl. These tests aimed to explore the effect of nuclear and thermonuclear explosion at very high altitudes. Among them, 3 were still within the atmosphere. Tightrope, Blue Jill Triple Prime, and Kingfish were all done intra-atmospheric at 21, 48, and 96 km respectively. Then 2 tests were actually conducted in space. Checkmate, which was relatively weak with a yield of only 10 kilotons of TNT at 147 kilometers. And finally, the one we are going to focus on, Starfish Prime, a thermonuclear W-49 bomb with a yield of 1.4 megatons of TNT, detonated at 400 kilometers of altitude, so roughly where the ISS orbits today. Scientists did it to test out the effect of a high-altitude nuclear explosion on long-range communication, radar detection, and to see if they could divert the Van Allen radiation belt to strike enemy territories. It was launched aboard a PGM-17 Thor, a common intermediate-range ballistic missile at the time. It was accompanied by 27 other small rockets designed to record the consequences of the explosion, a task also carried out by some ground scientific stations and by numerous military ships and airplanes. On the 9th of July 1962, the missile was launched. Almost simultaneously, the other 27 rockets were also launched. The mission itself was very short, as a few minutes later, at 9 a.m. UTC, the warhead was activated. You will find stories on the internet claiming that at that moment an electromagnetic pulse occurred, causing all street lights within a 200 miles radius to be destroyed, stalling all running cars, and cutting all radio and telephone lines. These accounts are greatly exaggerated. Only 300 streetlights in a town of Hawaii were temporarily turned off. People listening to the radio only heard a sudden sound which disappeared as quickly as it came, and there were some reports of electric garage doors opening and closing on their own. In fact, the effects of this were almost null to the people living around the test site. There were great and underestimated consequences, however. We just have to look higher up. An artificial radiation belt was created, which lasted for a few months to a few years, according to different studies, before merging with the natural inner Van Allen radiation belt. This belt had 2 immediate effects. It's confirmed that it disabled or damaged 8 satellites, but it probably damaged way more to a lesser extent. It also created artificial aurora effects visible around the Pacific, which lasted for a few minutes. Long term, the tests greatly increased the radiation emission of the Van Allen belts by adding a large quantity of electrons to their altitudes. These consequences spurred debate about the morality of doing such tests. Indeed, it was argued that space was supposed to be a common property of all humankind, that this kind of test would cause ecological disaster, and that neighboring countries would be hit by the consequences without having a say in their approval. In turn, Starfish Prime influenced the creation of 2 treaties. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which officially made space a common belonging of all humans and argued for the strictly peaceful use of space, and the 1963 Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which banned all above-ground nuclear tests for its signatories. In conclusion, the Starfish Prime test, while seeming completely crazy, did succeed in its goals. Its exceptional nature made it one of the most memorable tests ever, and one of the only tests which can be considered to be a part of the space race. But it also spurred worldwide debate about atmospheric nuclear tests, leading to their ban in 1963. It remains the biggest artificial explosion ever made in space to this day.